Hello everybody and welcome back. And now, before we continue with the burpsuite, I just want to show you some of the tools that you can check out by yourself that already come pre-installed in Kali Linux and are used for discovering basically more information about a certain website. So let us just open our terminal. We will go over them briefly. There's only two tools, and then we will continue after that to use burpsuite in order to hack a web page. But first of these tools is called Whatweb. If you just type here Whatweb, you will be prompted with your options for this command. And what this command basically does is it identifies different web technologies running on a certain website. It can, for example, detect JavaScript libraries used for designing the websites. It can discover some different systems, technologies that are running on the website. Now, we will only cover one of the options right here, which is just the verbose, which is -v. We will just use that in order to show you what this tool does. So let me just check out the IP address of my OWASP machine. So I'll just type here ifconfig, and we can see that it is .1.9. So if I type here whatweb -v 192.168.1.9, we should see some of the things that are running on the website, which can be useful if you are planning a further attack. So we can see we got a bunch of these options, bunch of the output, which says basically the versions and the things that are running on the website. So we'll go from the top. As it says, the page is found, which it gives us the status code 200. This is the title, the IP address, the country, summary. In the summary, basically you can see all of the things that it is running, and below that you will see in more details what version are they running. So for example, you can see jQuery, HTML5, OpenSSL, Python, HTTP server, Apache, and so on and so on. But if you scroll right here down, you can see Apache version 2.2.14. We can see different modules, module proxies underscore HTML, website. Now this is just the website of the Apache. Let me just go down. Emails. So it extracted some of the emails, I believe. Not really sure if that's that. It could be that these are just some of the emails that are located on the website. Yeah, because of this one, I believe OWASP BWA. It basically just found some email on the website. HTML 5, HTTP server, jQuery, OpenSSL, PHP. We can see the version, Passenger, Perl, Python, script, and so on. So these are just some of the useful information you can find out about a certain website. For example, if you find out that it uses JavaScript, you can possibly try to plan out a cross-site scripting attack or something like that. Now that's just the first tool that I wanted to show you. We won't be covering it in details, so let us just go on to the next one right away. And the next tool would be Dirb. So just type in your terminal Dirb and you will get the available options for this tool. So basically what this tool does is it scans for directories that aren't found in the page. It basically recursively tries to find web pages with different extensions. If it finds out that the web page exists, or if it doesn't exist, it basically finds that out by the status code of the page itself. So for example, we all know that if you visit a page that doesn't exist, you get that weird 404 error, page not found. And if it doesn't exist, you get the status code of 200. So basically how this program works is it brute forces the website with directories, and if you get the status code of 200, it will print us that the page exists, and if it gets the status code of 404, it will say that the page doesn't exist. Now, it's a simple concept, so let us just run this program on the same webs, which is our OWASP virtual machine. So let me just see what the syntax is. As we can see there, URL base, word lists. So let me just locate some of the word lists. Now some of the word lists you can find it's user share word lists, and then just type here ls and let me see which one we will use. Let me go to Metasploit, since there are a bunch of other word lists as we can see right here, and let me see if there is any word list that could be useful for us for this specific attack, which is basically brute forcing the directories in order to find some of the directories that aren't on the website. So let me just see right here. I can't seem to find any directory. Let me just ls grep dir. Maybe it will find something like that. No. Let me just go. Oh, there it is. There is literally a Dirb, so we can use something from here, I believe. Extensions common. Let us just get that so we can see if that is what we need. No, I don't think that is what we need. This is the file extension. So let me just see what is under common. It could be something useful. So we can try that one. Not really sure if it is made for this, probably not, but let us give it a try, why not? So we will use the common txt. Let me just, common.txt word list. So it should be in the same path for you as well. So /user/share/word lists and then /dirb, and you should see the common.txt file. So let us just run dirb once again. And if we type here dirb 192.168.1.9, .9, and we type here the user share word lists, I could have just specified common.txt since we are already in the folder, and then the options. Let us just see if we want to add any options or do we want to basically just run this. Let me see if it will work like this. Use HTTP. Okay, so we need to specify HTTP. And as we can see right now, it is running the directory brute force, and we can see right here, oops, I just went, we can see the code 200 means that the page exists. No need to scan it, let me just see code 500. Okay, code 200, 200, all of these 200 pages do exist, so we can prove that. Let us just use any page that was code 200, for example this one. We can copy the URL and let us go open our Firefox. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this attack is because some of the websites can configure to have available web pages with basically usernames and passwords. So you can basically find something you shouldn't be able to find just by trying out random directories for that page. Now, before I go and paste the link, I need to turn off my proxy, which is the burpsuite. So if you have it as set as proxy and not running it currently, just go here and for this time go on no proxy, so I don't have to turn on the burpsuite for this video, and we will paste and go. And as you can see, it found a page, so this page exists. And if we check out another page that gave us the status code of 200, for example, let us see, we can take any page we want, so code 200, index.html, this is some ICO file, so, but it doesn't matter, let us just see if it works, and it does work, we got a picture. So all of these 200 codes exist on the website as a directory. So basically that's about it for this tool. Now we will be coding our own directory brute forcer in the advanced section. It is really easy to code and you will see how it works behind the scenes. So But for now on, I just wanted to show you these two tools, and in the next lecture we will continue with the burpsuite and some of the attacks on our OWASP virtual machine. So I hope I see you there, and take care. Hello everybody and welcome back, and in this tutorial we will cover some of the burpsuite attacks that could be useful for us. So let us start off by turning our burpsuite on. So you can turn your burpsuite from the applications. I will just turn mine on from the terminal. And also, if you unset the proxy as me in the previous video, let us just set burpsuite to be our proxy so we can intercept our packets. So just go here on the preferences. We already covered all of this. Scroll down to the network settings. Let me just click here on next for the burpsuite and start burpsuite. And here go on network proxy and then on settings, and just check here the manual proxy configuration. So click here OK, and now your burpsuite is set as a proxy. Now, as we already know, burpsuite is already set to intercept our packets, so if we try to, for example, go on google.com, we won't be able to connect. So let us first of all turn that off, and now we should be able to access the Google page. Waiting for Google. Now the internet is a little bit slow, so we will wait for that. The first thing I want to show you is the burp spider. Now the burp spider, basically there are active and passive spidering of the web page. The passive spidering, the burpsuite does by default. So if we, for example, we visit Google, if you go on this arrow, it will show you the subdirectories of the Google, and you can also go as much as you want. As we can see, there are a bunch of these files that it already found in the Google. Now how does the scanning work, or the spidering? It basically watches the HTML page, and here it has a bunch of these links, and it clicks on each of these links. So for example, the spider basically just scanned through this HTML code and found, for example, this link, and it clicked on it, and then it added it to the spidering folder where it shows all of the links that are connected on that page. Now, in order for you to spider a web page, of course your intercept has to be turned off. Now, and if you wanted to scan the page actively, you need to right click. For example, let us right click on the let us choose right here, so we can go. Let us just first of all visit our OWASP virtual machine. So we visited that, and let us see what it gave for it right here. It didn't print it out yet, so let me just reload this page. And right now we have it right here. And for now on, it doesn't have anything there. But if we go on to the, for example, this one, let me just see, it found the subdirectory that we clicked on. But let's say we want to spider only this subdirectory actively. Just click here on yes, and you can see you have added item to target. So do you want burp proxy to stop sending out to scope items? Let us just go here on the spider, and we can see that the requests made and the bytes transferred, it is still running. As we can see, use these settings to monitor and control burp spider. To begin spidering, browse the target application, then right click on one or more nodes in the target sitemap and choose spider this host branch. Now this is the active spidering. As we can see, this has a bunch of subdirectories itself, and you can find some of the interesting things with just searching those subdirectories. Now, that isn't really that important to us, so we won't be giving too much of our time to that. What we want to do is we want to perform our first attack on the OWASP virtual machine. So, the first thing we will do will be rather simple. Let me just open the Firefox and go one step back. And what you want to do is you want to go onto your OWASP IP address, Then once you go to this page, just click here on the OWASP webgoat. Now it will prompt you with the username and the password. The username and password will be webgoat. So for the username webgoat, and for the password also webgoat. So just type that and you should be able to log in right here. We do not want to save password since we will be brute forcing the same login later on. It will ask you, it will basically prompt you with the welcome screen, so just click here on start webgoat. And here we can have a bunch of attacks that we can perform on the OWASP webgoat. Now for the first attack and the rather easy one, we want to go onto the authentication flaws. So basically, let me just find where that is. Here it is. And we want to go onto the forgot password. So if you go onto the forgot password, it will basically ask you for the username of your own account in order to change the password. Now, what the problem with this is, well, first of all, we do not know any username for this specific page. So if we type here, for example, ggggg and submit, it will say not a valid username. Please try again. Now the concept of this attack is that we send a bunch of usernames right here and hope that we get a different response from the server for some of those usernames, which will basically tell us that that username exists. So let me just explain that a little bit better. For example, let's say we send 10 usernames into this. We just type here 10 different usernames, and one of them happens to exist on this web page. For that specific one, it will not print us this error which says not a valid username. Please try again. Which means that our HTTP response for the server in its HTML code won't have this string, which will make the HTTP response basically smaller or bigger in terms of bytes, and we will be able to determine the difference between the HTTP response from the not valid username and from the valid username. Now, in order for you to understand this better, let us do that in practice. So, what we want to do is, first of all, turn our intercept on for this. So just go on the intercept on, and so our goal right now is to find out a valid username. So if we type here anything, so just type here anything, here we will receive that packet that we sent, which is a post request, since we are posting in this form right here on this page, as we can see, and our username that we are posting is anything. Now you can just forward this or turn the intercept off, and we want to find this packet. We want to find this packet in our burpsuite. So let us just find it. Post. Wait, we are looking at the responses. This is not it. Post anything. So here it is. This is our post request that we sent a few seconds ago, which says username anything, and we got a not valid username for that. So what we want to do with this packet is we want to send it to an intruder. Now the intruder is basically a brute forcer for the burpsuite. So here you can have, if you right click on the packet, so find your post packet with the username, right click on it and go send to intruder. Once you do that, you will see this section right here will turn orange, so just click on it and you will see these 4 options right here. What you want to do is go onto the positions and you will see your packet. Now the next thing you want to do here, you will see that some of these things right here are selected. For example, the username, the submit button, our cookie, session ID, PHP session ID, JSON session ID, screen, menu. So what you want to do is click here on clear in order to remove all of that selection. And right here what we want to do is only select our username. So just select anything and click here on add. And you will see that out of all of these things, only our username is selected. Now why do we do this? Well, we do it basically so burpsuite knows which part of the packet to change with the certain list that we will provide it with different usernames. So if we left it on all of those things before selected, it would change all of those things to different usernames and it will make page not load, since it would change the link, the cookie, and it would all crash basically. But then we cleared it and added only username and selected it, and now it will only change the username. Now under the attack type you will have 4 options. What you want to select is the sniper option. The sniper option basically uses one list and selects each input position one by one. So we provide, for example, the list of 5 usernames, which we created in our terminal or wherever. You can use the user list basically from the Kali Linux itself, since it comes installed with a bunch of these word lists, and it will send packets one by one with changing this value right here with a different username from the list. So let us do that. Once you perform all of this, so once you select your username and you click here on add, select the sniper attack type option, you want to go onto the payloads. Now the payload sets for now on you want to leave unchanged, and in the payload options, the simple list, you want to click on load in order for us to load the list. And what we want to go right here, we want to find the list that already comes pre-installed in the Kali Linux. So just go where I go, so go to this / directory and go to the user, let me just find it, user, then go to the share, then go to the word lists, let us just find the word lists, should be somewhere here, word lists here, so click on the word lists, click on Metasploit, and from here we want to find the HTTP default users.txt. HTTP default users.txt, you want to select this user list and click here on open. And as you can see, this is a smaller user list, it basically has like 15 passwords or something like that. And once you click that, you want to go onto the start attack. Now what this will do, it will exchange our username input with all of these different users from the list. So here it will say the community edition of burpsuite contains the demo version of burp intruder. Basically this says that the free version of burpsuite will run slower than the pro version of burpsuite, and in order for you to run this brute force faster you need to buy the pro version, but for now on we will just click here on the OK, since we don't need it. And as you can see, it is running all of these usernames in the form right here. So it is sending packets with different usernames, and as we can see it finished, there were 14 usernames and all had status code 200, but what we want to search right now is the difference in the length of the response of the server. That's what I was saying. Basically, as you can see, all of these are 30,606, except one, which is 30,516. What does that mean? That means that it got a different response from the server than all of these others, which is a good thing, since it possibly means that this username is a valid username. As we can see in the any other username, so let's pick this one for example, which has this length, and go on to the response, and we can try to find the not a valid username. Please try again, it will be there. It's just very hard to find since this is a huge HTML file. It doesn't even matter, so just find the username that has different length, and if we paste the admin right here, since we can see that this is the admin is the only one with a different length, and we click on the submit, we can see that we proceeded to the next step. since that username was a valid username, and now it says what is your favorite color for that account. Now you can basically brute force this as well with the same method, so just create a list with a bunch of different colors and brute force this field the same way we brute force the username input. But we won't be doing that right now. What we want to do next, and by next I mean in the next video, is we want to brute force a login. So basically we will be brute forcing the username and passwords at the same time. So we will do that in the next video, and until then I hope you have a great day and I will see you later. Bye! Hello everybody and welcome back, and in this tutorial we will cover the brute forcing of the username and password. Now this is a very common attack, since this will work on any website that basically has the username and password input. So in order to do that, let us first open up our OWASP machine. So make sure it is turned on, make sure that your burpsuite is turned on, and make sure that your burpsuite is used as the proxy in the Firefox. Once you turn all of that on, just go on to the IP address of your virtual machine. And where we want to go right now is we want to go on to the OWASP bricks. So click on the OWASP bricks. And right here you will see this page, and where we want to go is here, bricks, and then login pages. It will lead you to basically these 6 different login pages. We want to click onto the login page 3, and you will see it will prompt us with the username and password, which is probably very familiar to you, since we see these kind of user identification on every website. So basically Facebook, Twitter, all of them use this kind of form input. In order for us to brute force this, first of all, we will need to make a user list and password list. So I already made mine, so let me just open a new terminal. And as we can see right here, if I type here ls, I have a users.txt and passwords.txt. So let me just nano the users.txt so you can see that it basically has a few usernames. So you can just copy all of these usernames from me and create your users.txt file. How we do that? We're basically just nano the users.txt file, type these usernames, ctrl plus O, then enter, and then Control X to exit. Same, do that also with the passwords.txt, excuse me. So here is my passwords list file. As we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, password 1, admin, webgoat, then capital webgoat, QWERTY, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on. So these are just rather small lists. We use small lists right now, so it doesn't take a lot of time in order to brute force this. And what we want to do right here is we want to turn our intercept on. Once we do that, go onto your login page, which is login 3, and type here anything. Doesn't even matter, just click here submit. And we can see right here the packet that we're sending. So of course we're sending with the post request, we're sending onto this page, which is the same as this one, and we're sending username of this and password of this. So once we see the packet, you can turn the intercept off, and right here it will say wrong username or password, which we really didn't expect that to work. So let's just find the packet right now. Let me just find it. It is under OWASP bricks, login 3. It's not this, since this is a GET request. You basically try to find the POST request. OWASP bricks, login 3, and here it is, my POST request for the login 3 page. Now, what we want to do right here, we want to create an attack where we will send a bunch of usernames and passwords and wait for the different server response for some of them, which will tell us that that username and password is correct. Now, it is similar to the previous attack, which we used only username. But right here, what we want to do is we want to check out the server response for every attack, for every username and every password, and we want to see if the server response in its HTML code has this string right here. As you can see, wrong username or password, and this is this string. So this is the same as this. This is just in the HTML code of the page. Now, the username and password which doesn't have this string right here is the valid username and valid password. So the concept of this attack is brute forcing until we find a response which doesn't contain this string. So let us do that. What we want to do is basically do the same as in the previous video. We want to send this packet into the intruder. And once this packet is in the intruder, go on to the positions, and you will see also once again that all of these positions are selected. You want to clear all of them, and right now instead of selecting one position we want to select both username and password. So click here on add and select also the password. Click here on add. For the type of the attack, you do not want to use sniper since it is used to only brute force one input. We want to use the cluster bomb. The cluster bomb is basically used to brute force two different inputs. So once you select here the attack type cluster bomb, and once you select here the username and password, go onto the payloads, and here as a payload set 1 we want to leave this and go down here and click on load, and we want to basically load our username and password list that we created. So the username and password list that I created is in the root folder. So let me just find where root is. Here it is. And as we can see, here are our two lists that we created. So for the first list, we pick the users.txt and click here open. And this is our list right here. And then after you select that list, which is the user list, you want to go onto the payload set, and on here you just click here on 2, which is basically referring to the second input of our packet, which is the password. So once you select that there too, click here on load and select the passwords.txt, which is our list for passwords. Now after you do that, you want to select one more thing, which is we want to add to the burpsuite the string that it should search for in the packets, which is this string, since we know that this string will only be prompted once the username or password is wrong. So let me just find where that option is. It is, just go here on the options, and once you go onto the options, scroll right here down, and in the grep match, what you want to do, basically grep match is the option that we will use in order to find this string in our packets. So just remove all of these strings right here. We do not need them. Let me just click right here on the remove once again, since it doesn't work. Or clear, it could be clear. Yeah, just click here on clear and it will ask you if you want to clear the list. We want to. And in the add section, what you want to type is wrong user name or password dot. Now make sure that it is the same, exactly the same as this. So the user space name must also be the user space name right here. This dot must also be right here. So if you, for example, type here username, that is the one word, it will not work. So make sure you add a space right there. And once you do that, click here on add, and we selected the string that we want to search for in our response of the server. So once you select all of that, what you want to go is here on the start attack. You will get the same prompt window as before, so just click here on the OK. And as you can see right now, it is trying out different combinations of our user names and passwords. And here, as we can see where this is checked, it is basically showing us the responses that have this string in them. So all of them have this string, which is the wrong username or password, and what we want to do is find the one that doesn't have that. As we can see, we found it right here. So this response doesn't have wrong username or password in the output of the server. After we, for example, if you were to use this one, which is user and admin, so let's just try it right here, user, admin, you will get the wrong username or password. And that's why it's checked. But this one isn't, so it must be a valid account. If we type here admin, and then admin below, and submit, you will see that we have successfully logged in. Now, once you do that, you basically brute forced a login, and you can log in as a different user. Now, of course, most of the people won't really have the username and password set as admin, but for the real life attacks you want to use much bigger lists, and you want to use more probable usernames and passwords. Now, in order to perform this same attack faster, what I will show you in the next video is another tool that Kali Linux comes with, which is Hydra. It is a brute forcer for the login pages, for the website login pages, but it works much faster than the burpsuite brute forcer. See, as you can see right here, let me just find it. Where is our page? It has finished, but it took some time to run these 60 different types of combinations in order to find one which was the valid username and valid password. Now you will see that the Hydra, which is the tool that we will use in the next video, will do that much faster. So I hope I see you in the next video, and take care. Bye. Hello everybody, and welcome back, and let us continue from where we previously finished, which was the burpsuite brute forcer. What we want to do right now is use our own tool, well, not our own tool, but a different tool that is already installed in Kali Linux, which is called Hydra. So if you type here Hydra, it will give you the different options that you can use for this tool. Now, we will do the same attack with the same user list and same password list, and on the same page, in order to show you that this will work much faster than the previous scan, which took around 30 seconds. So the syntax can be a little bit hard for this tool. I will show you why it can be a little bit problematic if you do not know what you're doing. So I will make sure to explain every part of the syntax. Now, before we even type anything, you can see the usage or the example right here, which is rather simple than the one that we will use at the end, so we do not care about it at the moment. Let us just clear the screen, and let us just open our burpsuite. Now, let us go to the proxy and turn our intercept on in order to check out the packet that we will get once we type here any username and any password. So just type here anything. And what we are interested in this packet is the path that it took on the website in order to log into this page. So what you want to do right here is copy this page right here, or this path right here, so just copy it. Now the principle behind this attack is the same for any page, so basically just go onto the any page that you have permission to test, and if you turn your intercept on and type bunch of random words, you just want to copy the page itself in order to specify the correct path that you will brute force. So once you copied that, you want to go onto your, well, first of all, what you want to do is turn the intercept off, so it gives us wrong username and wrong password. And what we want to go right here, type here Hydra, and then type the IP address of our virtual machine, which is referring to as a host. Now, the next thing that we need to type right here is this, http minus post, minus form minus post. What this means is basically that this is a post type request, and with that post type request we are filling in the form. So this right here is called form, and the request type that we are using to send the form is post request, and it will always be post request. You cannot send form with the get request. So once you type here http minus form minus post, just add here the path between these two, so just add path right here. And once you add path, you do not want to close it. What you want to do is type here 2 dots. This is just the syntax, so once you type here 2 dots after the path, what you want to type here is username, and then this upper arrow sign, no, pardon me, first goes username equals, let me just enlarge this, maybe it will be easier. So 2 dots, username equals, then this upper arrow, and type here big user, then once again upper arrow, then this sign, let me just find it, this sign right here, I'm not really sure how it is called on English, but type that sign, and after that type here pass WD equals, and then once again the upper arrow, and then pass and another upper arrow, and then once again the same sign, and then type here submit equals submit, and then 2 dots once again, and then wrong username or password dot, and then close this all. So what happened right here is basically, first here we specify the host, which is the IP address of our machine. Then we specify the type of request that we want to send, which is we are filling in the form with the post request, and then we specify the path to the form, which is this, we copy that from the packet. And then after that comes the syntax, which is separated with 2 dots. So 2 dots, username equals, and now the hydra syntax knows where the username is because you specified it between these 2 arrows. It will use all the usernames from our user.txt list in order to put it between these 2 arrows every time. It is a little bit harsh syntax, so you will get used to it after some time. The same is with the password, which is separated with this sign from the username, and the password, in between these 2 arrows, it will specify all of the passwords from our password.txt list. Now, then you separate right here with the same sign as well, and we type here submit equals submit, and that submit is referring to this button right here, which is basically submit. So the button in the HTML page is called submit, so we type here submit equals submit. Let me just find right here, why did it type it twice? Let me just clear the screen, something happened, don't know why that happened, but it doesn't matter. So submit is referring to the button that we have to click in order to send our request, and with these 2 dots right here, it is searching for the packet that doesn't have this string. It is the same principle as in the burpsuite, just the syntax right here is a little bit harder. Since in burpsuite everything was automated and we could do it easily. Here in the syntax we need to specify after the button that we click what type of string are we not looking for in the packets. So once you do that, you just type here -L and for the list, and I then just find the path to your user.txt file. For me it is in this directory, and here type here -.p for the passwords.txt. And once you type that, you got the entire syntax written, so the entire command written. So right now what you want to do is just press enter, and we can see that it started attacking and it should finish relatively fast. And as you can see right here, it already finished and it found 1 valid username and 1 valid password, which is admin. And if we try it once again right here, so just type here admin, it will work again. So this is the syntax that we covered, or the command that we covered. Now the prevention for this attack, if you for example want to create your own web page, is basically just block the user from trying to log in after 5 failed attempts, for example. Now this method of prevention, the brute force attack, will basically make 90% of people quit after they notice that the website is blocking after a certain number of attempts. For example, I believe that Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they all do that, but there are bypasses for that as well, which is changing your IP address every time you finish brute forcing, for example, 5 passwords. But this is more advanced thing, and we will do it later on when we attack the social medias with our brute force. So that's about it for this lecture. In the next one we will cover some of the other attacks on our OWASP virtual machine, and until then I hope you have a great day and take care. Hello everyone and welcome back, and in this video I will show you a certain type of the attack which is called session fixation, which is basically used when the owner of the website misconfigured in the website creation, or basically anyone who created that website, it allowed that user becomes that some of the information that user sends to the server becomes the ID of that session. Now, before we get into that, I just want to show you another attack which most likely you will not come across, especially not on some of the bigger websites. You might come across on it for some of the smaller websites, since it is basically a flaw in the cookie itself, in the session ID itself. If the session ID is not random enough, sometimes you can basically guess the session ID of some of the other user, or just find a valid session ID. So in order to show you what I'm talking about, just open up your burpsuite, and on your virtual machine, which is the OWASP, just go here on the OWASP webgoat. If it asks you to log in, just type here webgoat, and after that you want to go onto the session management flaws right here, and here you want to go onto the hijack a session. Now, as we can see right here, we are prompted in with the username and password. Now, what we want to do is basically turn our intercept on and type here anything and send our post request, and as we can see, it is right here. And what I'm talking about is this weak ID. Now it is called weak ID since it is purposely made weak for this attack, and for the first time of you looking at it, this might seem like a really random number, but it isn't. It is actually really easy to guess it. I will just show you how you can generate a lot of cookie requests or different requests in order to see, for example, 10,000 different cookies, and in order to compare them and see which values change in this session ID and which values don't. And after you do that, you can basically try to guess the session ID with it. But we won't be going through the entire attack since it could take some time. I'll just show you how you can check out if the ID of that session is weak or not. So once we do that, we want to turn on our intercept off, the invalid username and password, of course. Now we want to go to the target, find the page that we send the username and password to. So I'm not really sure where that is. I'm not even sure what I typed as username and password, so let me just find it right here. It's not this. Which page is it? This is screen 72 menu 180. Okay, so we want to find the webgoat. Here it is, something with webgoat. Let us just find the packet right here. So we search for the webgoat path. Here it is. Let me just see. It's not this one. It's not this one. It's not this one. It's not this one. Here it is. It's this one. As we can see, our username GGSFG. So what we want to do from here is you want to right click on the packet and send it to sequencer. So once you go to the sequencer, it will light up this part right here. So just click on the sequencer and you will see that it already set the form field to be weak ID right here. So what you want to do it gives you a bunch of other options. What you want to select is your session ID. And once you do that, and click on the Start Live Capture, it will basically gather a lot of cookie values, and it will see if the value of cookies is random enough or if it can be predicted. So let's go and Start Live Capture. And as we can see right here, it would start sending a bunch of packets and gathering different cookie values. And once it gathers enough, it can tell us if the cookie value is random enough for it to be well protected. If it is not random enough, we will be able to guess another valid cookie value, which can basically make you enter someone else's session. So, for example, if I send a wrong username and password and I scan the cookie and send a bunch of other requests and scan the other cookies and find out that the randomness of the numbers is not high, I can guess someone else's cookie session and basically enter their, for example, profile on Facebook, for example, without even knowing the username or password. But this is the attack that you most likely will never ever encounter, since it really must be a misconfigured website in order for this to be possible. Today's websites have cookie values that you cannot possibly predict, since they are really random. And once this finishes, or we do not even need to wait for it to finish, I think we can click here Analyze Now. You can see that the overall result, the overall quality of randomness within the sample is estimated to be extremely poor. So as we can see, it says that the randomness of the cookie is extremely poor. Significance level, if we go, for example, to the count, you can see some of the character sets, which basically just show you how many characters appear and where. Let me just find right here if there is anything interesting for us. Well, basically this, the entropy is the value of the randomness, and if you want to, you can check out other options and outputs as well. But I just wanted to show you this, that you can scan for the weakness of the website ID with this method. We won't be pursuing the attack since there is no point. As I said, this is the attack that you most likely will never encounter. So let me just close this and let us go on to the attack that I wanted to show you, which was the session fixation attack. Now, this session fixation attack is done through link, and right now I will show you how to do it. So it is under the same subsection, which is the session management flaws. And just click here on the session fixation. Now, it will say right here, you are a hacker Joe and you want to steal the session from Jane. Send a prepared email to the victim, which looks like an official email from the bank. So basically, as you can see, we have an example of the email, and here we want to send something within a link that will make us be able to hack another account without knowing the username or password. Now, we know that this page right here is vulnerable to the session ID being imported into the link itself, sending it to someone, and if someone clicks on that link, it will have already pre-made session ID that you typed into the link. And once you know that session ID, you can basically log in, or basically just enter their account without using username or password. So let me show you how that is done. If we go right here, and if we look at the contents of the email, we can see that there is a link referring to the WebGoat attack screen 56 menu 1800. What you want to do is basically, you want to add this sign after the 1800, and after that you want to type here SID, which stands for session ID, equals, and then type here any random number. So for me, I will type here 555. And we also want to put the entire link between quotes. So href in the HTML code stands for referring to a certain page, so once someone clicks on this, it will lead them to this page, but we added the session ID, so it will lead them to the same page, but it will have the session ID already pre-configured by us in the link. So once you do that, you want to make sure that the page is correct. So as we can see, webgoat attack is the same as here, but the webgoat is capital W and capital G right here, so we want to change that in the link as well, so capital G and capital W, and once we do that, you can send the email. We specified our fake session ID, or not fake, our session ID for the victim to be 555, so if it clicks on link and logs in with that session ID, we will be able to access that account. So if we send an email as an attacker, we can turn the intercept off. So let us just turn this off right here, and we get to the stage 2 of this attack. As we can see, you completed stage 1. Now we are acting as a victim, so let's say the victim received this email, which was the email that we sent right now, and this is the link that we specified the session ID. As you can see down here in the left corner of the page, we can see the entire link, and we can also see our session ID specified as SID equals 555. So let's say the victim gets this email, and it looks like a legit email, and it clicks on this. It will lead her or him to a login page where it will ask them for username or password, just as any other page. But if we can see right here on the link, we already have our session ID specified, and as soon as someone types here and logs in, we will be able to access that account. Now, we also want to act as a victim right here, and as we can see, stage 3, the bank has asked you to verify your data, log in to see if your details are correct. Your username is Jane, and your password is Tarzan. So, just type here Jane, and Tarzan as password, and you click here on Done Save. Now, it says it is time to steal the session now. Use following link to reach Goat Hills Financial. You're Hacker Joe. You completed stage 3. So we know that the Jane has logged into the bank account, and what we want to do, we want to basically go to our log screen. So this is just a regular log screen, and we as a hacker want to log into that session. But we do not know the username and password for that session. We only know the session ID. So what we want to do is turn the intercept on, and right here we type here anything, which is not correct, so just type here anything random, and here we will have the request, post request. Now, if you were to just forward this, it will say wrong username or password, since this is a wrong username or password. But what we want to do right here is we want to go up and find the link. As we can see right here, this is the link, and under the SID we want to change that to the session of our victim, and we know that because we set it in the link to be 555. And now if we forward this packet, it will basically log into the victim's account without us even knowing the username or password. As we can see, we typed something random username, random password, and if I click here forward, we can see, congratulations, you have successfully completed the session. And we are in victim's account. First name Jane, last name Plain, credit card type NC, credit card number, and then this. So this is an attack that you might encounter. So that's why it's called a session fixation, since we, even before our victim has logged in, we already fixed the session in the link in order for us to know it later on once the target has logged in with that session. So that's about it for this attack. In the next tutorials we will continue with the burpsuite, and for now on I hope you're having a great day and take care. Bye.